So I'm giving him my default cue right here. I'm counting to about 3. I'm gonna click and then feed him. Again, I'm cueing the behavior, counting, click, and then I'll feed him. And I've really gone up. I think he at this point he's at least doing. I'm giving him his stay cue so I can go get my target. But he's doing about 10 seconds, and I'm clicking when I got my target, and then I'm gonna feed him when I come back. And he's really gotten much better with that stay behavior as well. But he can do about 10 seconds of standing still, so that's where we're at. And I just kind of vary the amount of time I ask him. So I'm just asking him to back up to my target, which he's really pretty good at. His only problems are he will only go so many steps, which I really need to work on. He needs to give me more steps. And he also wants to not be straight. He'll turn one way or the other. So I also need to work on that. But overall, like he wants to touch the target. He's pretty good at backing up. He has a pretty good reinforcement history with that. Like we've done it before. It's nothing new for him. Um, we were just doing the course, so we were just reviewing some behaviors that we need to know for that. But um, overall, really great with the backing up to the target. We just need to extend how many steps he can take. I do need to work on that. Um, and then work on the straightness. And we probably could add in some obstacles and stuff, really, because he's pretty far along in that behavior. So I'm going to cue him again. Just having that target right behind his chin there. And he's pretty good. Like, this isn't going to be a ton of learning and like training video for him because he already knows how to do this. You saw that way back when I first got him. Um, with a couple of the other horses, you'll see that it's a bit more training because they don't know to necessarily follow the target back. They lose sight of it, things like that. And I just need to kind of be a little bit more clear with them. But with him, he's quite good and he understands all that stuff. So we're just doing a little bit of work on the backup, and he looks pretty good. He can definitely do at least 3 steps. So I'm happy with that for this course that we're doing. We're just practicing. So now I'm going to bring out my cone, and the goal here is for him to touch the cone when I ask. So I'm asking him here for default for staying still, and then he didn't. He was moving out of it, so just say whoops, and then we try again. So here he's kind of got his head turned, so I ask again here. Uh-oh. And then I probably should have. I think I clicked when his head was straight, so I was like, I need to stop counting as much because he's just gonna start getting frustrated and throw other behaviors at me. So if he starts getting confused like this, I need to just, go back to a couple seconds, click that, and then go back to building it up because we had previously been doing multiple mini seconds. So, and now see, I don't want him to touch my hand. That's not what we want. So I'm just saying, whoops, and then there we can click that. That was much better. He turns his head away, and he was much better that time. So he just needs to know that he doesn't turn his head, he doesn't touch my hand. I didn't ask him to do any of those things. Now this looks much better, so that's really good. So I'm asking him queuing default, counting, click, and then I will feed. And the goal here is that he does default, and then I ask him, and he touches the cone when I ask, and only when I ask. And it's not going to be perfect in the beginning, but that's kind of the idea here. So I'm going to kind of put the cone off to the side so that he can touch it, but he has to take a step forward to touch it. So I'm just going to present it, show him the cone. He'll click, or he'll touch it, and I'll click. And I'm kind of leaning forward and pointing at the cone, and then I'll tell him target too. And now I'm going back to standing. I'll click him for standing still, and then I will just I'll ask him here again, and if he moves forward too much, I'll just feed him back so that he's not right next to the cone. If the cone's too tempting, he wants to continue touching it, but he's doing pretty good here. And you'll see that with other horses. Each one was a little bit different, so that was pretty cool. Now he stood still, so we'll go ahead and ask him to touch the cone. And again, it's just like with every other behavior, you have to balance it out. So depending on what your horse wants to do, if he really wants to touch the cone, then maybe we do 5 or 6 just standing sets where he stands for varying amounts of time and gets rewarded, and then I ask him to touch the cone once. And then that could be reversed. If he doesn't really want to touch the cone, then I could touch the cone multiple times, 3, 4 times, and then ask him to stand. And then you could vary it up that way, depending on your horse. So he was pretty balanced here. He did want to touch the cone, but he was waiting pretty good. So I could pretty much do it evenly. Like I think he stood like 2 or 3 times and then I asked him to touch the cone, but he's pretty even as far as this goes. You saw me doing a lot more balancing with him touching the target because he really wants to go forward, walk forward and touch that target. This one, like you can see, he's doing it, but he's got a little bit of latency there. Like he's doing it, but he's not like quickly doing it. So, but he's doing really well. This is his first session with this too, so he's pretty fantastic. And he's going, and he knows how to touch the cones, but just not on cue.